it can be really challenging, difficult to win consecutive games against the same opponent, which is the task that the Bulls faced tonight. You could say, well, it wasn't truly a back-to-back, but, they played the Wizards and beat them for their first win of the year on Tuesday night. Day off, come back and have to play the same team again and play the same team in the Capital One Arena in D.C. again. And it's even harder, you would think, to do that when you're facing a team that has an all-star backcourt like Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. You feel like that's going to be a tough situation to go into, especially with the Wizards getting Rui Hachimura back for his first game of the year. Like, here's a guy that you're looking at him and potentially envisioning him, taking a big step forward in year 2, being that number 3 scorer in this Wizards offense. That's a big piece being brought back into the fold for this second game that we didn't see in the game on Tuesday night. And especially when you look at the circumstance and situation for the Bulls heading into this game, the fact that they were without 4 members of the roster due to protocols. And that was including, key cogs of the rotation, such as Satoransky and specifically, most notably, Lauri Markkanen. So the Bulls are going into this without 4 players. You're talking about Lauri is one of their top players. You could in some cases argue he might be their top player. The Wizards are getting back one of their top players. You just faced off a couple of nights ago. You're thinking of the Wizards now 0-4. There's no way, Hachimura is going to bring some energy back and inject some life into him, and they're going to take advantage of a vulnerable Bulls team that's missing Lauri and Satoransky and Hutchinson, etc. Like, this has got to be a Wizards win. And it wasn't. What in the Sam hell happened? First you could say this game was like a lesbian party. There wasn't a real D to be found anywhere. There was no real D, period. It was just wide open. We're not even going to try and stop anybody. Just who can score the most. And for the Wizards, too, what's really surprising about the fact they lost this game was Hachimura came out. He was aggressive and he was effective and efficient in the first half. Thomas Bryant, even when he rolled his ankle at one point in the first half, he was a monster. I think he put up 22 in the first half. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, Bulls are in trouble here. Hachimura's getting off early. Bryant's having a monster game. You're worried about Wendell Carter and having to go back to Daniel Gafford. It wasn't looking good. And especially when you look at the overall line from the game and you see that Zach LaVine and Kobe White went a combined 11 from 33 from the field and only 4 of 16 from 3. And you, of course, put the cherry on the top, the most irrelevant thing that everybody wants to beat the rocks to, Russell Westbrook, with his 4th consecutive triple-double to start his season. You're looking at all of this and saying 2 featured scorers in the Bulls offense, LaVine and White, had shitty nights from the field. Hachimura and Bryant came out in the first half like gangbusters. Russell Westbrook had his imprints all over the game. That wasn't ultimately necessarily a good thing. And the Bulls are missing Lauri. They're missing Satoransky, who's arguably the best distributor and facilitator on the offensive end. What the hell happened? How the hell did the Bulls find a way to win this game, 133-130? And how the hell, more importantly, did the Wizards lose for the second time in 3 days to the Chicago Bulls and now find themselves at 0-5? The hell happened? Well, they let deep dish Otto Pizza Porter light him up again. This time he went for 28. He got put in the starting lineup and, he made an impact. He certainly made a difference with his fat ass. Thaddeus Young made his season's debut and he gave him some valuable minutes off the bench, putting up 15. Daniel Gafford played very well. You could certainly feel a difference in this lineup when he was in there as opposed to Wendell Carter. Carter was getting roasted by Thomas Bryant. Gafford came in, and now the Wizards had to contend with Gafford's energy both on the offensive and defensive side of the floor. And what I really didn't understand about the Wizards, this is really weird, and I thought this was a horrible coaching job by Scott Brooks. Hachimura and Bryant were dominant in the first half. The hell are you doing going away from them in the second half? I realize you got to feed the egos of Beal and Westbrook, and they certainly weren't having the best shooting nights. But at some point in time, you got to realize the situation and the circumstance that you're in and the lay of the land that you have at the moment. And you're saying, I got to ride the hot hands to victory. The Bulls couldn't stop Hachimura in the first half. Why do you go away from him? The Bulls couldn't stop Thomas Bryant really all game. But in the second half, you largely went away from him. So that way you could give shots to Davis Bertans? So he could go 0 for 8 from the field and 0 for 6 from 3? Like, I realize you're paying him a crap ton of money. And sometimes you got to let these good shooters work their way out of the funk. But there comes a point in time where doing this is criminally negligent stupidity. You can't let him shoot himself out of a hole by burying your team in an even deeper one than you already had with the 0-4 record to start the year. And I looked late, especially in the fourth quarter. There was one sequence where Russ had a couple of really lackluster, pathetic defensive efforts. He goes down to the floor. He takes his sweet-ass time giving up. Bulls, bam, knocked down to 3. Then next time, coming back down, Russ, instead of getting back on the break on defense to disrupt the momentum, he's not there in time. It's a layup. Like, you look at those small, tiny things, and you start to say, okay, those things start to add up for a while. And as Wizards fans and Wizards organization start to look at and saying, like, what's the problem here? Well, you can't just put it all on one person's shoulders, that's for sure. But certainly, there's quite a bit of it that goes down to Russell Westbrook for sure. And especially when you look at what happened in the last minute of the game. Like, Russell Westbrook got D'd up by Zach LaVine. LaVine, who's very haphazard and half-assed most often with his defensive effort, in this late stretch, under a minute to go, Russell goes barreling into the lane, and Zach just kind of stands there, plays really good defense, impressed with how he kept his hands up. It didn't come down. And, of course, Westbrook does what he does best. He bricked the layup. And then you come back the next time around, you get a beautiful play design to get Bradley Beal open on a backdoor cut, and he fumbles the ball. Frickin' Butterfingers Beal. Blowing a layup that should have been easy, that would have put the Wizards in position to win this game. So your two marquee players, your two big contract players, your two all-stars, both gagged it up late when it really, really mattered. And then, in spite of all of that, the Wizards have a chance late. Multiple chances, actually. Only down 3. Get a 3, got a chance. You're drawing up freaking plays to get Davis Bertans open when he hadn't hit a shot all fucking night? Who the hell does that, Scott Brooks? And then late in the game, when Bulls make some free throws, it's a 3-point game. You still got about 5.5, 6 seconds to go. Wizards don't have any timeouts. And for some reason, Hachimura is throwing a freaking baseball pass 3/4 of the court, way down the court. And of course, it's a turnover. Porter gets it, and the Bulls end up winning 133-130. Consider me surprised. Like, I'm proud of the Bulls' effort that they put in tonight. They had absolutely no business winning this game. The Wizards shot well from 3, even with Bertans going 0 for 6. Like, it looked like for a little while, Raul Neto, of all damn people, was going to put the Bulls away tonight. And the Bulls scrapped, and they fought, and they clawed. They played hard. They played well on both ends of the floor. Personally, I would have liked to have seen a few less minutes for Thaddeus Young and a few more minutes for Patrick Williams, but that's me, again, looking more so towards the future than maybe the here and now and the present. But, on a night where your two big-time scorers, if you will, and LaVine and White had off-shooting nights, Otto Porter stepped up and gave you big minutes and gave you a really good night. You had Gafford come in, and he gave you some really good energy off the bench, and he gave you something at both ends of the floor and gave you some athleticism that, again, the Wizards ain't playing any defense. Bulls aren't playing much either, believe me, but the Wizards really have zero interest in playing any defense whatsoever. This is an impressive win by the Bulls. Like, this is a game for all intents and purposes. They had no business winning. It's a testament to Billy Donovan and the coaching staff, and it's a testament to the players, too, that they went into this circumstance and situation and found a way to get the W. And this is totally a situation where everybody involved with the Wizards deserves to be crapped all over. Like, how the hell do you lose this game? The Bulls are without 4 players, including Markkanen, and their best facilitator in Satoransky. You let Deep dish pizza Porter lights your ass up again. Now, what the hell is wrong with you? You're drawing up plays to get Bertans open when he hasn't hit a shot literally all night. And if he's not hitting shots, he's not giving you anything else, and he needs to get the F off the floor. I'd like to see him get Avdia a little more involved in the offense and let him be a little more assertive. I also say the same thing about the Bulls with Patrick Williams. Because you saw a couple of flashes there when LaVine wasn't on the court to ball hog his ass off and throw up a bunch of bricks. Patrick Williams was able to do some good things on the offensive end. I wish both of these teams, I think, could benefit a little bit by allowing the rookies to do a little bit more and telling the guys like LaVine to back the F off a little bit, and especially Russell Westbrook. Be a little bit more of a facilitator and a little bit less of a stat-chasing glory hog that now has helped have his team have a 0-5 start. And as I was watching, because I'm here in the RVA area, I've got the NBC Sports Washington, so I was watching instead of paying the $2.99 to watch the game online. I sat there and watched it on the NBC Sports Washington, and the studio people like Jason Smith's dumbass sitting there talking about triple doubles for Russ, and so was Drew Gooden. And what? The team is 0-5. Who gives a crap about these meaningless triple doubles? The triple double to me now has become the most overrated statistical achievement in the sport of basketball. You have far too many of them happening by far too many people. The game has changed dramatically. It does not take much for some of these guys, especially if given the opportunity in their situations, to get triple doubles. But what you needed Russell Westbrook to do was better facilitate in the second half and go to the hot hands like Hachimura and especially Bryant and not help get them out of the offense like the hell he did. And you need Russell Westbrook to show a little bit more than the pathetic-ass defensive effort he showed at times in the second half that let the Bulls get some buckets that they didn't deserve to get that ultimately could prove to be all the difference in the damn game. So yeah, good on the Bulls for winning this one. The Wizards suck. And it's not just a thing of they'll figure it out. What do they got to figure out? They don't play D. They don't want to play D. Their coach is a knucklehead. And their point guard is a stat-chasing glory hog. It would take a lot of dramatic change at this point for the Wizards to get themselves into a playoff spot. I mean, for God's sakes, they started off 0-5. The hell? Next up for the Bulls, though, got to turn right back around on Friday evening and play the Milwaukee Bucks, which a lot of you might be saying, it's time for Blowout City, baby. Isn't this the same Bucks team that just recently got blown out by the Knicks? The Knicks of all damn teams? I expect the Bulls to go in there and lose, yes, but this was a game they had no business winning and they found a way to do so. So who's to say that they can't go in tomorrow night and win? I find it unlikely, I would agree. And they might very well get blown out, but you have to be a little bit impressed with what you've seen out of this team the past two games. Granted, facing off against a really bad Washington Wizards team, as we found out. But if you watched the game tonight, let me know what you thought. Let me know what you think about this Bulls team's effort, what you think about this team and their lineup. Like, is it time to start Gafford over Wendell Carter Jr.? I think it is. Should we be making some other lineup changes? Would you like to see Patrick Williams get a little more involved in the offense and maybe see a few less shots from LaVine and White? Let me know what you think about this team that you've seen for the first 5 games of the season and what you saw of this game and their victory over the Wizards on Thursday night.